Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ife Artistry. If this is your first time seeing my videos, you are highly welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always coming here. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I achieved this beautiful soft eyeshadow look that you can achieve within like a few minutes. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so I started with I'm using the Benign White eyeshadow primer, and I'm placing that on her eyelid. So I'm going to be placing that like everywhere, and after that I go in with the Blossom African Queen palette, and I'm going to be using the shade Chizzy. Yeah, so I'm going to be using that shade. So I'm going to be using that shade to create my first transition as my first transition color or shade. Okay guys, so while using, one thing about this eyeshadow is just your transition, guys. I noticed that one of the issues that people have in creating eyeshadow looks is like they choose the wrong shades for transition, and equally not only that, they don't know how to place your transition. Okay guys, so in placing your transition, you just know where your eyeball stops, you know, the demarcation between your eyeballs and like the eye sockets and the brow bone, like that demarcation between your eye sockets, you know, your eyeballs, like where it stopped, that inner part, that is where it's called the crease line. So just like place the crease shades, like the transition shades there. Okay, so this is my first transition. Okay, so after that I'm going to be going into the next shade, Lola. So I'm going to be placing that again like I've done the first one. So like making transition, you have to go like shades after shades. Okay, if you want to achieve something beautiful, don't go and pack all of them there at once. Take it one step at a time. So like go from something that is lighter to something that is darker. You can equally go from something that is darker to something lighter. You know, if you are going to be like going to a shade lighter afterwards, you know, you'll be placing it upwards. Like if I'm going for a shade darker, you see that like I'm coming down like, you know, below the place I've placed the first transition, if that is making sense at all. I don't know. So I'm going like where I'm placing the second transition now is actually below the first one, if that makes sense. Okay guys, so after that I went into the shade Fumi. That's a very darker shade, because like this eyeshadow look, I wanted like the crease line to be darker, you know, so that will give me like what I want. I want crease that is dark, not just the outer part. So I'm placing that in the outer V, and then I'm sweeping it into her crease line. I don't know if you understand. This is just supposed to be how it's supposed to just be her outer V shade. I don't know if you understand, but I'm just sweeping it into the crease line. So sweeping it into the crease line again, and make sure that I'm coming equally lower than the first two transition shades that I use. This is the best way to do it. Another thing you can do is, if you start with a very darker shade, make sure that the ones you are now placing that is lighter is going above it. At the end of the day, you see we are still creating the same thing. Me that is now going down when I'm making my crease line, and if you are making like darker shade first, are going up. Okay guys, so after that I went into the shade Chisom. That is now the main eyeshadow that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be placing that in the inner corners of her eyes. This is a lighter like eyeshadow, you know. So because I know this eyeshadow shade is going to be lighter, I wanted the crease line to, you know, be pronounced. So I don't just want to, like, you know, she's dark skinned, I don't want to just like place this light shade there without like making a demarcation between my brows and the eyeshadow that I'm going to be placing, because that is actually the work of the transition that we are doing, you know, to transit. So I'm just going to be placing that there, and equally placing it, I'm going to make sure there is no harsh line between this crease line and the eyeshadow that I'm placing. So I'm going to make sure I use my brushes and, you know, buff it out. Practically the real me would have actually just, you know, used another shade to smudge them out. Like I use another shade to blend them together to, you know, transit between each other, because the two shades are a bit, you know, far from each other. You know, you can't like transit from something that is this dark to, you know, a bright color like that. But like I was just taking my time. You see, like I'm taking my time to go in again and go in again, and just make sure there is no harsh lines or there is no you know, creasing anything. Okay guys, so I was done with the blending that I want, the way I want it, and then I have to go into the shade Chisom again, the one I used in the outer part, the darker one. So I'm using that in her under eye. I'm using that to smudge out her under eyes. This is just a very simple eyeshadow. Honestly, like if you are learning how to do your eyeshadow, you should be able to do this. Just follow the steps and you'll be able to achieve something beautiful. Okay, so I'm just smudging that, nothing, like not really serious. Okay guys, so after that I went into this Zaron gel liner, the black Zaron gel liner. So I'm using that to line her eyes, just lining basically. Like this one is not equally a problem. Just first of all, when I line, I first outline, after outlining, then I now begin to fill it in. You can see I'm just filling it in now, so outline and then I fill in, and after that I begin to wing. The winging, just if I take it out and then ask my client to look up, she looks up, and then I join it with the one down, because I'm going to finally be doing her drawing her down waterline. Yeah, exactly. So I would want it to connect to the winging, like whatever wing liner I drew. So yeah, okay, so after doing that I went to the other side of the eyes. I'm just doing the same thing, still winging, and then when I wing, I make sure I connect it to the lower her waterline. I'm going to be doing that in a bit. Okay, yeah, so this is it. So after everything, I have to go ahead and start lining her waterline, even though she's actually tearing up, but we gotta still do it because it's so important that you line her waterline. Once you just line that, like everything comes to sit. Okay guys, so after the whole thing, the lining and everything, I fixed her lashes. I have always said this all the time, I use my hand to fix lashes. I don't use like tweezer and all that. So I'm fixing her lashes. I'm using the lashes from Mesmetics. Yeah, the lashes is from Mesmetics. I use these lashes mostly for my brides, honestly, and I love how coily and how like beautiful this lashes is, like on everybody that I've used it on. Okay guys, so after that I use my mascara from Zaron gel liner. I use the mascara, what did I say? I'm using the Zaron Mascara. Yeah, this is the Zaron product, their mascara. So I'm using that to just marry the two lashes together, her false lashes and her real lash line. So I'm just mashing them together, and after that I probably did the same thing to the lower lashes and all that. You can see my client is actually so happy, like everything is coming out the way she wants it, guys. So this is actually the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.